Austin Intamin. I'm a firefighter here at Daisy Mountain. Today we're going to be going over a truck check on Brush 145. Today we're going to start on the engine compartment. So if you follow me, first thing you're going to do is go underneath the steering column and pop the hood. On the truck check, there should be an order to which way you should follow. We're going to be following that order today. First things first, you're going to check the engine oil. The best time to check the engine oil is at room temperature or cold. What you're going to do is you're going to pull the dipstick completely out. You're going to clean it off, reinsert it, pull it out once again, and you're going to be looking to make sure the oil's within the safe levels on the dipstick. Once you've confirmed that, you can reinsert the dipstick and your engine oil has been checked. Next thing, we are going to be going over the transmission fluid. Transmission fluid is best checked when the engine is up to temperature, so it's been running for a few minutes. You're going to repeat the process of pulling the dipstick out, cleaning it off, reinserting it to get the most accurate level, making sure it's within the standard lines. If you notice there's a warm and a cold, we prefer that you do it warm and it's sitting right between these two checkered lines. So I want to come over here. This is the transmission fluid reservoir, making sure it is between your maximum and minimum lines. They are a little hard to tell, but maximum's here, little minimum's here. Just make sure it's falling somewhere in between. Well, once you're done with your transmission fluid, then you will come over to your power steering reservoir. It's kind of hard to tell from the bottom. It's at a weird angle here. However, there's a maximum minimum for here as well. You want to make sure your fluid is sitting in between both those lines. Coming over here, checking your coolant reservoir. Same thing as the power steering. There's a maximum and a minimum. Just making sure your fluid is sitting in between. Also, while we are underneath the hood, there's a few other things we prefer that you check. This particular brush truck has 2 batteries. We would like you to take a look at both of the terminals, making sure none of them are loose, corroded in any way, for both positive and negative terminals. The other one is on the other side, so we'll do the same over there. Making sure there's no corrosion, making sure they're still connected. Okay. Also, while you're underneath the engine, take a look at all the hoses, making sure that there are no cracks, no leaks. Make sure all the electronics are plugged in, just making sure the engine is working the way that it should be in proper order. And that'll be the engine compartment check off for Brush 145. The next portion of the truck check we will be checking off today is the frame and suspension. The first thing I like to do is you'll take a step back, looking at kind of a wider view. Because we're looking at suspension, we're going to be looking to make sure the truck is even, not leaning to one side or the other. It's going to be a good indicator that the suspension is holding strong throughout the entire front and back sides. Next, we'll be moving over to this wheel well. While you're here, you're going to be look down into the suspension, looking, make sure all the nuts and bolts are there. There's no abnormal wear, tear, or shiny metal indicating it's wearing somewhere it shouldn't be. Also, while we are here at this tire, we can take a look at the tire tread. You're looking for any large chunks disappearing. The tread depth, you want to make sure, you can kind of put your finger there. You want to make sure there's a good amount of it there. If it starts to wear, you'll put that on the truck check, letting the mechanics know. You're looking for the sidewall, making sure there's no bubbling, no large cracks. Also, since we are here, we can check the tire pressure. Tire pressure is going to kind of change from truck to truck. If you don't know where it's at, it's going to be on the inside door. But this one's sitting around 85-ish, so we should bump it up to about 90, 95 PSI. Once the pressure is checked, we're gonna look at all the lug nuts, making sure none of them are loose, make sure none of them are broken off, they're all there. And you're gonna do that for all 4 tires as you walk around the truck. Next, we're gonna go over back here, kind of the easiest spot. We're gonna be looking for a few things. One, you're gonna dip down, you're gonna look at the frame, and the frame, make sure there's no cracks, no wear or tear, same as the suspension, as well as looking for any fluid leaks. Fluid likes to sit on the frame, it might not drip down onto the floor super fast, so if you see any abnormal or a large pool of fluid sitting on the frame, you wanna make sure to write that up as well. That will conclude the suspension and frame check of the truck check. The next portion of the truck check we'll be going over is going to be the lights and looking for any exterior body damage. First thing we're going to do is get in the cab and turn on the engine. This one is a push to start. You'll push the brake all the way in, pressing the start button. Next thing you'll do is you'll come over here to the panel. You'll turn this all the way to the right. This is going to turn on all your emergency lights, turn on your spotlight, your scene lights, as well as the far right on this one is going to be our Opticom. It's not one that stays on constantly, so if you need to use it, you have to hold it down. We also have spotlights on either side of this brush truck, as well as some trucks utilize these auxiliary buttons to use extra lights. So if you can't have anything turning on, press those to see if they turn something on. Once everything is on, we will get outside of the truck and we'll be in the front. Now that we're at the front of the truck, we're going to be visualizing all of the lights. You see the light bar up top, you see the two blinking here, and then this light bar up on the bumper, making sure everything's working in proper order. None of the light bulbs have died out. After you visualize that, we'll be walking around. At the same time, we're going to be looking for any scrapes, any dents, anything that just looks out of order. You'll be sure to write that up, anything you might be concerned about. Just taking a look at the body while you're here, pressing all the cabinets. Sometimes they don't close properly. Still looking for any dents. Visualizing. A lot of times the bumpers might have some sort of dent on them. Write it up if it's no. Just keep pushing these in. Also visualizing the two lights on the side. The back of the truck on both sides actually have scene lights on the sides, so making sure those are working in proper order as well. That will conclude the external body damage and the light check. The next portion will be the interior of the cab. With the truck on, you're going to want to take a look at all the gauges, making sure all the needles are moving, they're where they're supposed to be. You have a coolant, we have the oil temp light, we have def. When you're in here specifically, two things you want to be on the lookout for is making sure you have plenty of fuel, as well as your def gauge over to the left. When it gets to, I believe, a quarter left, you have to go to resource and get it refilled. So just be cognizant as to where it's sitting at the beginning of your shift. We also have, a lot of times the truck when it turns on will sit at the speedometer. You can scroll down or up and it'll give you various different settings. Here's how you'll get to your engine hours, which is a portion you have to fill out for the truck check. Not only will it give you the engine hours, you can scroll even more and it'll give you more vehicle information such as gauge summary, battery voltage, fuel filter life, so on and so forth. You want to go through making sure they're all sitting at a normal area. They're not running too hot. Once the gauges have been checked off and everything's working as it's supposed to, we'll go through the rest of the truck check. First things first, you're going to want to check the seatbelt, making sure there's no rips, no tears, it's still working properly. Make sure to click it in. The belt itself actually works. Then you can unclick it. If anything is not working as intended, make sure to write it up. The truck checks, the mechanics can take a look at it. We'll move on to the wipers and the mirrors. First thing, wipers is on the left-hand side. If you press it in, it should spray some water and showing that the wipers are working. While you're watching that, take a look around, make sure there's no cracks or dings from rocks. If there is, write it up so we can get it in the windshield. Moving on to the side mirrors, you want to make sure to adjust them. There is a pad on the left-hand side by your left hand that you can adjust the mirrors as necessary. Make sure to adjust it to your ride height so you can see, as you will most likely be the only person in this cab while responding to a call. Lastly, we want to check the horn and the sirens. For this, make sure the lights are completely on. You have two ways of operating this one. You can flip it to the right, which will turn it on, or you have this button here, which will turn it on and alternate the different sirens. Turn it off, you just flip the switch one more time. Lastly, the horn, make sure the horn works by pressing it in. Next, we'll be going over checking both the regular brake and the parking brake. Today we'll start with the parking brake first. It's down by your left foot. Make sure it's fully engaged all the way down. What you'll do next is you'll put it into gear and give it just a gentle little bit of gas. Make sure the RPM's at about 1,000. Make sure the truck doesn't move and the brake doesn't fail. Once you've checked that, you can disengage the parking brake, which is a pull lever by your left foot as well. We'll do the same thing with the regular brake, making sure press it all the way down, giving a little bit of gas while it's still in gear. It doesn't move, brakes don't give out. Put it back in park, and that is checking both the parking brake and the regular brake. We'll move into another portion of the cab checkoff, which is going to be identifying you have your portable radio. It turns on, it's charged. As well as the portable radio, we'll have your apparatus radio. This one going off constantly, so you want to make sure the call comes through, it's on, as well as you have your preset channel designators. Turn that off, turn that down low. Next we'll go and we'll grab this blue folder. So this blue folder, all of our apparatus should have it. It should have the shop number of the apparatus you're currently in. This will hold both the fuel card, the insurance card, and the registration. Make sure to open it up, find the fuel card, find the registration, and find the insurance. Once you confirm that they're all in there, close it back up. You can place it back over here, and that should conclude the interior cab check of Brush 145. Next, we'll be going over all the exterior cabinets. We're going to start up on the top. You want to make sure you have your Ganser bags as well as your foam. You might possibly have an additional tool. For this one, we have a shovel as well as more line in order to fill up the tank at a hydrant. Once you check that you have all of that up on top, you're going to go through all of the compartments one by one. For this one, you have all of your extra fuel. For your pump, this is going to be your backup if you're on a call and you run out. If you'll need more, make sure that's full, as well as various other more foam, other types of gas. This is for container for the foam, as well as hydrant wrench, clamps, and just other attachments. When you're done, make sure this is closed, doesn't pop open. You're just going to move around the truck. Here we have all of the different wildland tools. You're going to want to make sure you have your McLeod, your Pulaski, and any other tools that are supposed to be on the truck. Up on top, you're going to have various different fittings for all different types of hoses, more clamps, additional nozzles, gated wise, and any kind of adapter that you're going to need in order to fit the different hoses. Same thing, make sure this is closed, stays closed. Moving around. Here we have our wheel chocks, smaller diameter hose. Make sure those are all present. In the back, all of our newer brush trucks will typically have a quick deploy brush line that you can attach to your pump really quick, as well as your hard suction. And here you're gonna make sure you have a nozzle, different adapters, as well as the actual filter that attaches to the end of the hard suction. Around this right side, you'll check up top again, smaller diameter wildland hose, have a few bundles as well as more Ganser packs. Open up these ones. You're gonna have your cones as well as your straps. Make sure that all of those are present. And then in here, you're gonna have a few bladder bags, your flares, and then all of your Sawyer stuff. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have your protective pants for the Sawyer, as well as your saw. When you check off the brush truck, you're gonna wanna start it. Make sure it has fuel and bar oil and it runs appropriately. And then for our last compartment, you're gonna have additional bladder bags as well as a wildland pack. Preferably, you're gonna want 1 to 2, one for you and one for an additional personnel if they hop on. Make sure those have your fire shelter at the back as well. Some of our brush trucks also have a blue backpack that is our wildland EMS bag. Here at 145, it's actually on the ladder. If he does have it on the brush, you're going to want to make sure to check that off, make sure all of the basic first aid and EMS equipment will be in there. For 145, if you need it on the brush, you'll have to pull it off of the ladder if you're running a mountain rescue or something that you'll need it for. So next we'll be going over the pump section of the truck checkoff. There's a few things you want to check off before starting the actual pump itself. First and foremost, you're going to want to come over here and take a look at the fuel. There's no indicator on the outside, so you will have to open it and take a look inside. Close that back up, make sure that's full of fuel. Then you'll come over here, just as if you were checking off the brush truck itself. There is an oil dipstick you want to check, make sure it's full, make sure the levels are good, as well as the water level. So on this one, you have 2 spouts. On the left side is going to be your foam. On your right side is going to be your water. You have 2 ways of checking this off. Your first one is getting on top of the tank, physically opening it and viewing the water level, as well as on the right-hand side, you can see next to the tank, there's an indicator. You can see that little rubber piece floating inside. That'll give you a good indication as to where your water level is on the actual tank. Next, we'll go over actually initiating the pump. So what you'll do is this is going to be your ignition or your power. Flip that up, pull your choke out, completely out. Is half choke, no, or full choke, no choke. You want to make sure it's fully out, and then gently press this button. Make sure your choke is all the way in, it's fully running. Put before you start to flow any water, you're gonna wanna come over here. It's kind of tucked in the back. You wanna make sure your tank to pump is in line is open, at an angle is closed. So make sure your tank to pump is open. You come over here, and this is gonna be your throttle. So you'll throttle it up to about 100 PSI. You can check your gauge up here. So what we did there was we throttled up the PSI to 100 and then opened up our red line, made sure the pressure was holding steady. Once we made sure the pressure was holding steady, we closed it, we throttled it back down, and now we're just bleeding it out. Once the reel is completely bled out, we're gonna close it back up, make sure there's no pressure left in, and then on next to your ignition is a booster reel rewind. So just gently tap that until it lines back up with this holster, and then close it back up. We'll shut that down. One good thing about our brush trucks is a lot of our pipes are exposed. So if you don't know initially, or like this one, if all the stickers have been sun rotted off, you can kind of track and trace back where you want the water to go to the actual pump, and it'll give you a good indicator as to which level to pull, lever to pull. And that is the pump panel. So that completes the truck checkoff for Brush 145. If you have any additional questions, reach out to your crew. They should be able to steer you in the right direction and give you any additional information that you may need.